What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today, we are playing Fhtagn one more time, Tales of Creeping Madness. Last time, things did not go so well, but I'm feeling pretty good about our prospects right now. So, we're going to play as this lady this time around and start it on off. And let's see if we can maybe summon a demon to kill everybody this time around. I've got 7 Elder Signs. That means I can actually do the Maltese Cockerel one. What's the other part? Yeah, confirm it. Oh, it's Influence. It's Influence and Money. Okay. Well, let's focus on influence then. Let's get influence and money. You organize compromising situations for key officials in government and aim to collect at an opportune time. There it is. We've manufactured some stuff. The cult thing was actually quite fun. Considering that you were all just a bunch of evil bastards, there was a surprising amount of camaraderie. For instance, today was Sally Whitaker's birthday, and the other cultists had worked together to organize her a little party after the weekly ritual sacrifice. It was your job to bring the cake. Since you wanted to make a good impression, you decided to bake it yourself, and in your grand wisdom, you had decided to pop over to the Athenaeum and grab a recipe from one of the grimoires. Seeing as you weren't too familiar with ancient languages, you relied mostly on pictures. One cake looked really cool with multicolored lightning bolts flying in every direction. You assumed that the lightning bolts were used metaphorically. The other cake had a giant muscle-bound figure erupting from it, probably meant for a bachelorette party, but now wasn't the time to get picky. Make the bachelorette cake, she'll love it. The recipe called for a lot of Yeti pheromones and troll glands, but as per usual, Miss Wiggins' pantry had everything you needed. Seeing as the cake was hollow, you figured it'd be a fun prank to jump out of the cake and shout surprise as Sally came in. With everything prepared, your magnificent cake was placed in the center of the room awaiting the birthday girl. As you heard her come in, you tried to suppress your giggling, not even wondering why the cake seemed to be shrinking. You could hear her muffled speech as she thanked everyone for the lovely party, and it wasn't long before you heard her walking up to the cake to cut everyone a piece. When you felt that she was close enough, you jumped out and yelled, "Surprise!" Sally Whitaker promptly died of fear as the gigantic hairy monstrosity erupted from the cake. Apparently the chemicals in the cake had seeped into your body, causing muscle mass to nearly double, giving you a sharp pair of tusks and covering your entire body in matted fur. Though you were now great in a fight, it unfortunately meant that hours of grooming, shaving, and tusk filing whenever you wanted to go out. I mean, I'll take the body bonus, though. That's pretty sweet. Cycle 2, we're going to focus on the exact same thing over here. We're going to do it over and over and over again if we can. So we got 4 influence and 2 gold now. Town Hall is abuzz with the news that the governor will be visiting Arkham and a grand gala will be held in his honor. Having such a powerful ally could certainly not hurt your plans. Unfortunately, Governor Bennett is a very rigid and incorruptible man, but you know for a fact he makes no decision without the counsel of his superstitious wife, Prudence. Let's go ahead and convince Prudence. At some point during the gala, Prudence suddenly looks at her watch and rushes outside. Governor Bennett gives an embarrassed smile and explains that she believes to see the first star that appears after dark will bring her luck. You take your leave and saunter outside. You sit next to Prudence and talk about the stars and their powers. Soon she's eating right out of your hand. The next day you introduce her to church meeting. Not long after that, she's rising within the circles of the cult, and soon after, Governor Bennett started making appearance at meetings. Nice! 4 influence off that one. Hell yeah. Let's keep stacking influence real fast. Alright, operating a doomsday cult is not what you would call a legitimate operation, hence having a judge on your side could be very beneficial. In Arkham, Judge Mayweather was the law, and therefore you see no reason why you couldn't persuade the law to see your point of view. A lonely judge like himself would surely be thankful to have a new friend to spend time with and explain the virtues of the Ancient One. Alternatively, if a few of his colleagues were found missing a couple of body parts, he might also get the message. Let's make a new friend. Isabel was definitely the friendly type, and due to some unfortunate circumstances, found herself deeply in your debt. You weren't the kind of pervert who would expect her to do anything untoward, though. Just feed the judge's soup and slip in some comments on how good the cult is for the community. And since dying in the near future was certainly a possibility for the decrepit old man, help him understand how he would gain eternal favor with the Ancient One should he help with the resurrection. Even without being real friendly, Isabel could certainly be persuasive, and it wasn't long before the lovesick judge was committed to your cause. Since she was there, Isabel also nicked a nice couple of legal books. Oh, cool. Nice. So we need influence and we need money. So the next thing we need is to make some cash. So we've got a couple of days to do it. Let's go to the magic shop. You operate the shop front? No self-respecting mage would be without a familiar. Keziah had Brown Jenkin, Merlin had an owl, and that young fop Dumbledore even had a bloody phoenix. It was not only fashionable, but familiars were also useful for getting things done. Having made up your mind that it was time for you to get one, you decide what you wanted to gain out of your familiar. Let's go with heavy lifting. A golem. You need a golem. It was quite a complex spell to create the golem, but you knew a guy who had a friend whose niece wanted to throw out her golem, so before you could say erg, you had your very own golem. You called him Constantine, mainly because Rocky was a bit on the nose. Constantine was great in a fight and even served as a jack whenever your car broke down. You love that stupid rock. Oh, cool. Yay, my Rocky friend has made things easier. So with the cockerel, the minor influence is money, and the major influence is... But we don't know, like, how much we need, though. We don't know how much we need. That's the problem. I think it's best just to stick to blackmail. The party at Livingston's Manor was one of the most anticipated events of the year. Old Man Livingston's father was a renowned explorer in his day, and after his death, he had bequeathed quite a collection of artifacts to his son William. Among these, kept at their Arkham summer home, was the idol of the Albano Tokolashi and the Shengon plates. To get an invite wouldn't be a challenge. You can think of at least 3 people who owe you at least that much. To gain access to the artifacts, now that would be the hard part. The idol should be easy. It acts as a receptacle for your soul, so if you can have an uninterrupted moment with it, you can activate it, have it sneak out of the manor later that night. The plates would be trickier. You wouldn't be able to leave with them without raising an alarm, so you'd have to translate their secrets on the spot. Let's do the idol. It said it was easier. The evening was in full swing, and as per usual, Lady Livingston had gathered the guests together to regale them with an impromptu singing performance. Now was the time. Sneaking into the unguarded library, you were actually quite astonished by the collection of books, trophies, and all manner of tribal artifacts. Getting back to the task at hand, you spotted the little idol in a glass case. Gently prying it open, you start the process of transferring a part of your soul. As your soul stared into the abyss, though, you suddenly realized the abyss was looking back. Waves of panic and fear crushed your fragile spirit, and soon you were on the floor in the fetal position with the little idol standing over you, kicking you and asking who your daddy was. As the idol jumped through a window and disappeared into the night, you knew that it wasn't just the window that was shattered. Weak. Super weak, you guys. Super weak. Alright, so it's our last night before the Maltese thing. We're going to give this another go over here. Organized compromising situations. The town had approved the construction of a new subway. The construction will stretch from Innsmouth in the north all the way to Salem in the south. It'll improve the commerce in the town, but you could see some other advantages as well. A little bit to the west of Arkham, there's a confluence of 5 ley lines, and if you could build a chamber at exactly 279 feet below the surface, it will make for a powerful summoning site. Unfortunately, this requires the subway to divert for about 20 miles, required that the chamber is built in secret, in a side passage to the subway, and to be built with exacting specifications. The only way you'd be able to pull this off is to bribe your way into the contract. I need my money, though. I don't need a cool chamber to summon monsters. That night to prove you were a powerful wizard, you didn't need fancy chambers. You summoned a magical gerbil who you called Pete. Pete could poop candy and was quite the conversationalist. Yay! It is time. Let us try the Maltese. Let's see if we can do it. Alright, you heft the Maltese cockerel above your head. Not a powerful trinket, but not a cheap one either. The golden statuette covered in gemstones cost you a hefty sum at the black market auction in Morocco, not to mention the effort it took to strong-arm, dissuade, and manipulate some of the other potential buyers, which included a couple of powerful criminals and diplomats. Now, as the time has dawned, you realize it's magic. Epic success! End the world. The ritual quiets down, and all eyes turn to the immense carved door nestled to the side of the temple, the squid dragon bas-relief, glistening wet in the moonlight. As the minutes drag on, an unsettling thought crosses your mind. Is all this for nothing? As if laughing at your weak will, a loud rumbling sound booms across the little aisle, and slowly the magnificent doors start to part. An unbelievable stench wafts out of the darkness, and those with poor constitutions bend over double, retching streams of vomit. Then came the dread sound as something climbed up from the depths of the temple. Everyone turned their heads to listen, and it appeared out of the dark mouth. With the head of a kraken, a giant slimy humanoid body, and wings that would almost certainly not support the titanic weight, dread Cthulhu, the dreamer, the herald of the end times, stepped forth, and madness was for the first time truly born into the world. 2 cultists immediately died of fright as the thing of the idols, that green sticky spawn of the stars, awoke to claim his own. The stars were right again, and after 10,000 years, great Cthulhu was loose again, ready to feast, and some here would become his blessed first meal. With the rise of Cthulhu, the world was upside down. People fled the cities trying to hide from the horrors that now walk the earth. As an unfortunate side effect, your considerable wealth was now worthless. Still, being the savvy businessman that you were, you had organized a few deep ones to scour the beaches for shells, and quickly became a powerful business tycoon in the shell-based world economy. Alright, that's how we make that abalone work for us? Yup, that's how we rock it. Dude, we got paid on that one. Yeah, let's do another one. Let's see what's going on here. We're going to go with this guy again because he's my favorite. He's my favorite one out of all the selections. I like him a lot. Let's see what we can unlock. So we know that this one takes knowledge. What's the other half? So the other half is knowledge, so you need brains and brawn for that one. What about if we wanted to do... I don't know. What if we wanted to do the Jade Gong? So that takes magic, and that takes performance. Two things that are not necessarily overlapping in a lot of these locations. So, like, there's magic and performance right there. There's magic on that side at the cost of my sanity. Okay, yeah, let's cast some spells. Let's do it. The cult had sent you with money to bribe an official. On the way, you had a thought. As a cultist, it's kind of expected of you to be a backstabbing son of a gun. Therefore, the logical course of action would actually be to keep the money for yourself. It'd be easy to pull off either way, but if you keep the money, you'll have to make it look convincing. Alternatively, carrying out the drop-off might lead to some more blackmail opportunities. Let's go with... I don't need the money anyway, so we'll just follow it through. Deciding not to cross people who can literally summon monsters, you head for the meeting site. The drop-off goes off without a hitch, and you make a mental note of the official's face. Might be useful for later. Okay, so was it the minor influence that I needed on that? So with the Jade Gong, the minor influence was... Let's see here. So for the cockerel, there's minor money. Okay, so minor's on the bottom. So I needed minor magic, and I need greater performance. I mean, I can get 1 and 1 right there, along with some money. But let's focus on the performance first. We'll play in the band for a little bit. You spend the evenings regaling patrons with soulful, disturbing tunes. You've seen horrible things, and not just that time when you saw your grandma naked, which frankly required years of therapy, but other things. Unnatural things. I'm fine, really. The thing about keeping things bottled up is that they'll get to decide when they come out. With things like anger or resentment, it wasn't that bad. It usually only ended with you shouting at somebody or putting your feet through a wall, fist through a wall. With the things you had seen, though, it was different. These things were alive, scurrying in the back of your mind, biding their time. Unfortunately for you, now was that time. Fortunately, you had no recollection of your blackout, no memory whatsoever of how your eyes went pitch black, and dark runes started to crawl over your skin. No knowledge of the spell that writhed out of your mouth, and a dark language that caused the skin of your forehead to bulge and then part with a squelching sound. No idea of the thing that crawled out of your skull, its pregnant belly grossly distended with eggs, plopping onto the floor, then slithering off to the shadows. It looked like an eyeless worm, fully as long as your forearm, with a mouth covered in fangs and proboscis. But thankfully, you did not know that. All you knew when you woke up the next morning was that the thing in your subconscious was gone, and somehow that it had gotten far worse. Weak. We're gonna have to keep working on performance, man. We don't have a choice. You had heard strange rumors about a small cloister outside the town of Ilswich. Apparently the nuns had all started to don white masks and had been preaching about a holy number. You arrived at the cloister late that night, and with a strange sound coming from the shelter piqued your interest. Creeping up to the cellar door, you half expected it to be locked or barred, but after what you witnessed, you wished it were. From a hole in the cellar floor pulsated an indiscernible mass, slim tendrils reaching out to attached to the faces of 9 unmasked nuns encircling it. Despite yourself, you screamed. As one, the tendrils retracted not into the mass, but into the faces of the nuns. Before you could turn and run, another tendril slithered out of the pit towards you. It's then that you realized that it was in fact not a tendril, but a vicious eyeless worm fully as long as your forearm. Weak. Duck? That worm was fast, but you were faster. It flew at you with a force that you would have surely penetrated your brain, but unfortunately for it, you ducked. There was a loud squelching sound as it splattered against the wall behind you. This only seemed to anger the nuns who ran at you. As they came closer, you could see the black writhing form of the worms, their maws fully covering the nuns' faces. Completely freaked out, you started ripping off the worms with a strength you never knew you possessed, and then proceeded to squash the squirming worms with the fury of a madman. Shaking with adrenaline, you leave the cloister, no intention of explaining to the recovering nuns what had happened. I mean, we're on day 4, and my performance is not feeling good yet. It's not feeling great. Let's go downtown and see if we can double up. So we'll plan heists here. You orchestrate heists on museums and collections. There we go. 1 magic and 1 riches. We're trying to get both things right now. Gorshi Bullref wasn't a powerful entity, but he had gained his own little following. He was basically the epitome of a big fish in a little pond. Back in the depths, he had endured endless swirlies and wedgies until his lucky break arrived when a couple of teenagers had dabbled in the occult and accidentally summoned him. Being the lame eldritch monstrosity that he was, Gorsh had elevated the teens to his personal high priest and started a cult filled with pimply juveniles. Being a serious cultist, this annoyed you to no end, but unfortunately, Gorsh was the only reliable source of ichor. or ichor, a substance which the fat blob continuously excreted and which you needed as a catalyst for certain potions. What made it worse is that those snot-nosed punks knew that they had you by the short and curlies and made you beg for it every time. Enough is enough. Admit it. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you felt like there was the teeniest possibility you could fail an encounter against some bratty kids. There was not. But as you stepped into Gorshy Bullref's inner sanctum, you were horrified by what you saw. The center of the room was a gigantic pulsating black mass with eyes and mouths bulging from every inch of its goopy body. There were eyes coming out of mouths and even mouths popping out of eyes. Oh, the horror. Screaming, you charged back up the stairs and sped past the laughing youths. Safely back at your own sanctum, you barred the doors and sealed them with spells protecting against the slimy, eyeball-covered monstrosity seeping through the cracks. Hey, there's a little bit of magic, so that's good. With your defenses in place and the bed covers pulled tightly up over your face, you feel safer. Goody. On cycle 5, I don't feel like we have enough performance right now to pull off the major portion of what we're trying to do. I may have to foo-foo up again. Alright, Madame Fufu has brought in a new roulette table to improve the joint's offerings. Tiny Tony the bouncer let it drop over a few drinks that the table was rigged. Why not even the odds with a bit of magic, you thought? I don't have enough money, so not one to make a habit of losing money. You make sure to find your entertainment at some of the other stations, and you smile at your lucky tip. Well, there you go. On cycle 6, let's do downtown. We'll plan the heist. And hopefully that's enough to get us there. I don't know if that's going to be enough for us to actually finish the thing we're trying to do. But it might be. Everybody was already there by the time you and your entourage arrived. In the center of the abandoned warehouse was a big circular table. And arranged around it was the entire DeLuca crime family, save one. You stepped on their toes more than once, but they agreed to hear your offer. Let's threaten them. You stroll into the meeting acting like you own the place, but the man hitting and sitting at the head of the table exudes true power. DeLuca's not impressed by your little show, and before you can even speak, two of them grab you and knock you onto your knees. You watch helplessly as the gangsters kill off your men and dump them into the river. Finally, the Don turns to you and makes it clear that they don't want to see you or any other cultists on their turfs again. You agree and lose influence. Once they had left, you find a bloody ring lying on the ground. One of your acolytes had been holding out on you. You smile as you put on the magic ring. Alright, it's time. Let's try the Jade Gong. I don't know if we have the influence for it, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try. As the ritual is about to start, you walk ceremoniously up to the Jade Gong. Silence settles on the congregated group and you give the gong a deft strike. You smirk at the distressed faces of your acolytes as no sound emanates from the gong. No sound that they can hear, that is. You, however, are perfectly attuned with the magical properties of the Jade Gong, and with every masterful strike, you feel your magic flowing into it, and its otherworldly resonance growing stronger and stronger, till its haunting music fills your mind. Yeah, buddy, we got him! As if laughing, the doors open and we summon Cthulhu. I think we got this down now. We got Cthulhu in twice. What happened to us after Cthulhu came? The problem with magical music is that it tends to get stuck in your head. For the first few days of the apocalypse, you were humming the tune from the gong, beaming at the destruction that was taking place around you. By the end of the week, you could swear you still heard the Jane Stone song playing somewhere. After the first month, you had constructed a century deprivation tank to sleep in, and you still heard the damn thing. By the end of the year, you developed the habit of smacking your head against the wall till the music stopped. Fortunately, after a massive concussion, it stopped. Many years later, while walking past one of your old colleagues, you heard him humming the tune. As the song once more got stuck in your head, you promptly killed the man and jumped off the nearest cliff. And that is Fhtagn. I will see you all later. Thank you for stopping on in. I think we've seen just about all the game has to offer. I'm going to leave you a few spoilers, so if you wanted to play it for yourself, you can still go through and experience the game as it was meant to be played. My name is Splattercat. I cover indie games every single day on the internet. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile so that you don't have to. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like. It helps out the channel more than you know. And aside from that, if you want to support me a little further, you can check out the Patreon, or you can swing through live at twitch.tv/SplatterCatGaming every single day. I would love to have you, so by all means, if you see that I'm live when you're watching this video and that little banner is up on the screen for Twitch, click on it. I'd love to say hi. I'll see y'all later. Hi, do everybody.